Welcome back to the Good Green Home Show with Rich and Shauna. Today, our guest is Allan Armitage, and Allan is all about the perennial plant. He's a gardener extraordinaire. Allan, we're so happy to have you on board today. Welcome.
Well, Shauna and Rich, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and chat about some of our favorite things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, welcome, Dr. Armitage. If you didn't know, I have a couple of garden centers in the Chicagoland area and a wholesale greenhouse. My background is mainly being in the family garden center business, and I'm a state accredited horticulturist, but my knowledge is nowhere near, or my experience is nowhere near the level of yours. I know you've been in the horticulture field for how many years, Dr. Armitage?
Oh, dear me. I guess probably 40-ish, give or take.
He had to use all his fingers and toes for that
one. Yeah. And in fact, it's kind of interesting. I guess I'm just an old guy, so that just means I've been there that
experienced.
long. I had actually no horticulture genes in me. I had no spectacular grandmother holding my hand. I didn't get into horticulture till I was finished my undergraduate in college. I didn't even study horticulture, never looked at it. So it's kind of fun how these paths just come along. And as Yogi Berra says, when the path forks, take it.
Exactly. And
Great.
You did. And tell us right now, I mean, you're really moving along with the new way of gardening, which is talking about social media, being online, and you have an app. Tell us about that app.
Mm-hmm.
This is so much fun. I like writing. I don't know why, I just do. So I've written a few books, and this whole thing about social media, it's obviously all around us. I mean, we can't not notice how everybody's on smartphones and tablets and this, that, and the other thing. Mm-hmm. And so I said to myself, well, the books are great, but once they're published, they're out of, it's like a car. As soon as you take it off the lot, it's used. Yeah. And the book is, you can't really do much with it once it's up there. So you hope it's good. I try my best to make my books as timely as possible, but it's still a book. Mm-hmm. So my daughters, who are young ladies with no money, too many children, and no time, they're always on these phones and things. They like to garden. They like to put some plants in containers and spruce up their house. Mm-hmm. So the app made sense. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the very few what I call third-person apps. It's not a company. It's not a magazine. I'm not trying to sell you anything, except I guess if you get the app, you're going to pay the astounding price of $4.99.
Well worth it, though.
Yeah, and you'll receive a book. There's over 100 different plants for gardeners. Garden centers, Rich, are on listed, and I really hope we can get you listed on there, because
I'm not sure if we are or not, but I'm definitely going to do that.
Well, consumers have the same questions. I get 3 questions. 1, is an annual or perennial? B, sun or shade? Well, I get 4, I guess. 3, do deer eat it? And 4, where do I get it? Not necessarily in that order, but so I've put on garden centers so the consumer who has the app, who happens to be in your area, can find you, and your website, if you decide to change it, to put a sale on, it's immediately updated on the app. So it's kind of fun. Not getting rich, but kind of fun.
No one's getting rich here. We're all making a difference, right? And that's what you want to do too, is make a difference. What is the website for the app? I'm going to write it down right now.
Well, I'm going to give you 2 things. My website is really easy. Okay. It's just my name, Allan Armitage, and it's ALLAN, AllanArmitage.net. And if you get on that website, you can see all the crazy things I do, books and apps, et cetera, et cetera. If you just happen to have your phone in front of you and it works just fine on iPhones or Androids or whatever, then just go to your app store and print my last name, Armitage.
Armitage. Okay.
Itage, and I'm the only guy out there that
has Armitage. I'm the only Coronado as well.
And it's called Armitage's Greatest Perennials and Annuals.
Terrific. And what a good name. And you also have a book out this year. This has been nonstop for you. When are you going to calm down? You're just going.
I don't never.
What's your-
I get to go to all the great hot spots, both literally and figuratively, in January and February. I just came back from Minneapolis, had a great time there. Baltimore, then I get to go to New Jersey, Boston, and Rochester, New York.
Wow.
And isn't that nice? I get to all the balmy spots in the country.
Well,
No, I'm fortunate. I like doing this stuff. The latest book is definitely very, very different than anything I've ever done before. Most of my books, and again, anybody interested, they can go to that website and see what's out there. But most of my books are about plants, as you know. And you mentioned perennials. I'm in love with annuals. I'm in love with vines. So native plants.
What is the book called? So we can go take a look for it.
Will be coming out, believe it or not. It's about me. It's my memoirs.
Oh.
And I was not the one who suggested doing it, but I'm the one who did it. And it's called It's Not Just About the Hat. And it's called The Unlikely Journey of a Plantsman.
And you're not wearing your hat today.
Well, don't worry. In case
I'm
people
not on
don't
there
know
yet.
who I am, there we go. Okay?
Oh,
That's what
there's
you
the
were wearing,
man.
a hat that looked just like that. I saw you speak last year at the Ball Customer Day,
I
Ball
was
Seed.
there.
And Shauna was there.
I was there at the same time, but we didn't know that we were there at the same time. I was with Troy Martin, and we came up and visited you, Allan. But that hat, we can tell you are on the Pope, and you are like cranking out a great speech.
So, Allan, you were telling some great stories during that speech. Can you tell the listeners one of your amazing stories?
Oh boy, I'm not sure I remember what I told them.
We're just putting you on the spot. Tell us a story, Allan.
I have a question though. That'll start a story. You were talking about what type of echinaceas to buy.
Oh dear me, yes.
And you were very opinionated about that.
Yes.
So give us a few rounds of that story, because I love that one.
Well, I am a storyteller. I've become a storyteller, and tell me the facts I forget. Tell me the story I remember.
There you go.
So I can show you how to, do the flux test. I can tell you about the first ever subsidized crop in America, which turns out, by the way, to be false indigo.
Oh.
But I can also
It's going to guess
let
tobacco.
you know from my experiences that there are some great plants and some not so great plants. And when we get ahead of ourselves in promotion, we sometimes shoot ourselves in the foot. So the plant that everybody is talking about, for better or for worse, is echinacea or purple coneflower. It is our native. It is, as a species, just fabulous.
Gorgeous.
But we have had so many new hybrids introduced that many people from zone 3 to zone 7 are losing them, particularly in the winter. And this is a plant that is hardy to the plains of Kansas, for goodness sake. And we're losing them all over the place because the fancy stuff, if I can call them that, salmons and doubles and all that other nonsense, they are made up of species other than purpurea. So we kind of think of them as just good old coneflower, but they don't work. So my bottom line, and what I said there, and what I say to anybody who asks, is if you don't know what you are doing with purple coneflower, if you're not really quite sure, buy purple or white and have a ball. Okay, plant them in the spring, plant them in the fall. These are tough old birds. You will have great success.
Yes.
If,
and you'll
however,
get more of them too. They'll
If,
multiply like
however,
crazy.
you wish to go to these fancy ones, however you define them, plant them only in the spring. Do not waste your money and buy this stuff in late summer or fall. In general, they will not root in well enough and will not be well enough established. When winter comes, they don't make it. And my garden center people, Rich, don't particularly like hearing that story because a lot of them are selling echinaceas in the fall. And there's no problem with the purples or the whites. But if you sell
you're
your
saying
clients...
the oranges and the yellows are
the ones
probably
with the
not
fuzzy,
good fall planting time.
The fuzzy topped ones, where they have petals up the top.
It's
And,
because
like
there are
pink
a half
poodle.
a dozen. There are half a dozen at least, or more, but a half a dozen species of echinacea that one can get. But really, the toughest by far is purpurea. And so when you treat everything like purpurea, we lose a bunch. And it's not good, because my daughter will buy a beautiful fancy echinacea from you, Rich, but if it dies, she won't be back.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. We want consumer confidence. We want
Absolutely.
gardeners to have success. That's why we talk about drip systems and ways that people can continue to keep the plants happy and healthy. Obviously, we get into some of the more specifics of pH and things like that on this show, but we try to make it easy for the average gardener to understand. Now, I know that you are a big annual flower guy, and I know you said one of the top questions people always ask is, what's the difference between an annual and a perennial? And then when they get the answer, they say, why would I ever plant an annual? And to that you would say, Dr. Armitage,
this is so simple. I think, and again, if I can so when I'm talking about plants, is it an annual or perennial, always comes up, right? Mm-hmm. So I say it's an annual, and half the audience, their faces droop. Like they are simply plant snobs, okay? They think an annual is beneath them. When I show them and show anybody the spectacular diversity of annuals, not a problem. So I say to them, here you have this gorgeous, whatever. Call it a heliotrope, call it an annual euphorbia, call it a petunia if you like, whatever you're looking at. You're going to pay $5, $6, $7 for this thing, and you're going to complain to me that it's going to die in the winter. Well, I want to tell you, I want to know what happened to your $7 purchase at McDonald's or at Burger King. Tell me what happened to that product.
I love it. Dr. Armitage,
I complain about this stuff.
We sell gobs and gobs of purple fountain grass, Pennisetum rubrum, and it's an annual, and we sell them for $5 a plant in a 1-gallon pot. And people still complain to me that that's not an annual. I say, you spent more than that on a Happy Meal. I've actually said that to customers before. What are you complaining about? You just spent $30 on a hanging basket you know isn't going to make it through the winter. Why do you care that the purple fountain grass is $5 just because there's perennial grasses out there?
My theory is I use the perennials as the structure in the garden beds that I have. And then the annuals I pop in as color. And so if I use them as color, they're the fun whoop-de-doo of the garden, even though the structure, without it wouldn't be the garden that it is. So I think it needs the perennial. Do you have a favorite perennial, Allan?
Kind of depends what I've just seen, I guess.
That's what's great about plants. It's always changing.
I truly don't, in a way. I mean, I love some of the newer materials, but again, what's new to my daughter is probably 3 years old to you. And so nobody walks into Rich's Garden Center and says, hey, what's old? Right. They all ask, what's new? But we're still trying to get the good stuff in front of them that may be 2 years old. So, I love, I love some of the new Stilbees out there. I love, because of shade. We moan and groan about all the coral bells and the euchres, but gosh, they have been good. And there's too many of them, to be sure. Yes. But that's Rich's job. He's the guy, the garden center is the guy that has to listen to Shauna and me and others, because they can't do it all themselves. And then he's the one that has to select the top 5 for his area. Yes. And again, what I've tried to do with that app and other things is give my favorites, because I travel a lot and I see a lot of great plants. And if I see them looking good in many, many areas, euchres being an example, then for sure, they're yours.
Right. That's precisely why I was at the Ball Customer Day last year, to see all of these plants side by side with a controlled environment where they're all getting the same water, sunlight, care. So
my pet peeve for the end consumer, for our audience that's watching, I really dislike the endless summer hydrangea.
Oh my gosh.
It so falls down. It doesn't perform. And people are like, but I must have it. Your buddy
bred that plant. Didn't Michael Durr?
I get in such trouble.
You're going to get in trouble. You can't comment on that.
It doesn't do well. And then it's probably the best marketed plant on the planet, so it's sold like crazy, and yet people are failing with it.
The biggest complaint I get as the garden center that sells literally thousands of endless summer hydrangeas is that it doesn't bloom the second year. That's the number one complaint that I get.
What do you think, Allan?
Let me tell you, I love hydrangeas, but I really don't much like the mop heads.
I agree.
Give
We're
me
on
the
the same
panicle
page.
types any day.
Panicles are where it's at.
And I think the breeding on those is nothing short of spectacular, but they haven't had, there's enough different people out there, but they haven't had the marketing that the mop heads have had for a long time. Endless Summer being a perfect example. Again, I'm not going to say anything bad about it. I'll get shot.
Yeah, sorry. Somebody's coming to shoot me instead. And so
Shauna just handed you a grenade with the pin taken out of it.
I did. But I think you understand my point. It's much like the echinacea. If I want to buy a plant that's really going to perform, because frankly, the weather conditions make it tough enough to garden sometimes,
panicle hydrangea.
Right? Yeah, we want something that's healthy,
Limelight.
that's long-lived.
I have a limelight hydrangea that's every bit of 8 foot tall, and it probably gets 250 blooms on it every year. It's one of the most spectacular plants, and then it blooms for so long. It's so reliable. It blooms like crazy every year. It's huge. It's just gorgeous. It's the center focal point of one of my shade gardens. And then when it gets cold, the flower changes color.
And it's beautiful.
Pink. It's a great, you could cut you put them in vase. It's just awesome.
Allan, do you have a perennial combination that you could recommend to our viewers? A couple different perennials. When you put them together, they look spectacular together.
Well, yes and no. I love again, I'm going to go back to something that is a bit more troubling for garden centers, and that's going to be some of the fall flowering plants. When I say a bit more troubling, because people come in the spring, and when it's in flower, they just go gaga. But trying to sell something that's not in flower in the spring is tough. But our gardens need fall. I love the fall flowering asters.
Yes.
Beautiful.
In combination with the fall, what I call Korean mums, the tough mums. And that they flower around the same time. They flower for weeks and weeks.
And they're good for the monarch butterflies, the asters.
The butterflies love it. And oh my goodness. And, the asters, doesn't matter which one, but, they can produce such color, and they're native. It's just great.
We grow asters. I apologize to interrupt that. We grow asters at our garden center. We grow probably about 2,500 of them in a true 1 gallon, a 4-quart pot. And we grow it perfect, like a round ball. We grow a purple, a blue, and a pink. And they almost look identical to our mums. And every year we get people that ask, they say, I've never seen a blue mum before. and they are truly hardy. The ones that you see alongside the mums in the garden center, the garden mums, those asters will come back every year.
Yeah, I really not much about, and again, I understand they sell and they look nice. I'm not really into the sort of pot mums that are sold in the fall. They just don't really do it for me, but certainly there are many other free-flowing mums that I think are spectacular. One called single apricot, and one called Sheffield, a number of them like that. They come back, and they are really terrific. And let me mention one other plant in a combination, I suppose. Anytime you use baptisias, false indigo. Again, they're a spring flower one. They take full sun. They almost go with anything. And you can get so many different combinations of colors in those. And people are just discovering them now. And I know that the issue has been that they don't look particularly good in a pot and a container at the retail center. But these are plants that you just can't beat. So just think about that.
False indigo.
We talk all the time. I'm a big lover of kale, and mixed in with some of these plants that, an ornamental kale at the end of the season is just knock your socks off, I think.
I love it.
I do too.
So there's a lot of good plants for fall, to be sure. And a lot of great vegetables and ornamental vegetables. Things that are happening in the vegetable world are unbelievable. So, it's just, we'll never end. We'll always be smiling.
Oh, there you have it. Well, we are at the end of our segment, Allan.
We're out of
so
time.
sad. It is. Now, listeners at home, please go visit Allan's website at allanarmitage.net, and it's Allan with an A, and look for the man with the hat.
And download the app. It's in the iTunes App Store as well as the Android market. Is that
absolutely.
correct?
Okay, cool.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure.
And the website will have the new book on soon, and so people can just have a ball.
Terrific.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with Dr. Allan Armitage. He's a world-renowned plant expert. We're very honored to have him. Thank you very much. The Good Green Home Show was just treated to a very special guest.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Home and Nursery. Think outside the box store.
Have you been disappointed with your lawn, even though you spread fertilizer year after year? If so, then you're not alone. That's because most people are unaware that feeding the lawn is only one of 2 key factors in getting beautiful results. The second is so obvious, but gets overlooked because it's out of sight, out of mind. The soil. Jonathan Green's new American Lawn Plan, unlike traditional fertilizers on the market, feeds both the lawn and the soil. Your soil is filled with nutrients, but many of these nutrients are never absorbed by the grass because your soil biology and chemistry hasn't been activated. This includes nutrients from your lawn fertilizer, too. Jonathan Green's new American Lawn Plan corrects the problem with 2 organic soil-reviving fertilizers: Love Your Lawn, Love Your Soil, and Magical. Spreading Jonathan Green's Love Your Lawn, Love Your Soil feeds your soil biology, activating its microscopic ecosystem. This activated microbial activity breaks down trapped nutrients, so they're completely absorbed by the grass roots. Love Your Lawn, Love Your Soil also creates natural gaps in your soil, allowing air and water to penetrate deeper so roots can grow further. Applying Jonathan Green's Magical feeds your soil chemistry, making it properly balanced. A well-balanced soil enables grass roots to absorb much more lawn fertilizer. This higher absorption rate makes your fertilizer more effective and reduces the risk of waste and runoff while helping keep your lawn and our environment green. Love Your Lawn, Love Your Soil, and Magical are fully compatible with any lawn fertilizer or annual lawn program. We recommend using them with a wide range of Jonathan Green fertilizers designed to feed your lawn with superior results. Feed your lawn and your soil with Jonathan Green's new American Lawn Plan. And finally, get a beautiful lawn you can feel good about.